Yes, sir. What's going on, family? It's your man, Mr. Law of Attraction. I just turned 30 about 2 months ago, and in my 20s, I was able to earn millions of dollars, live in my dream city, Miami, Dubai. And in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down 10 different points that I wish I knew in my 20s and how I got ahead in my 20s. So let's go ahead and pop into point number one.
Made a lot of money, but I blew through it fast. I lost a lot of friends and it hurt me bad. Sometimes I wonder how I still spit on these tracks. Damn. Man. Another day in the city.
Okay, so point one, without shadow of a doubt, is one of the highest leverage moves. And this is what I learned when I worked with the famous Bob Proctor. Point number one is investing into a mentor to speed up the learning curve. Now, there's two types of mindset that I've seen in my last 10 years of doing this stuff. One type of person, his mindset is, why should I buy coaching or mentorship when it's free on the internet or I can figure it out myself? Totally plausible. The other side is the route that I took. I spent over $500,000 in my 20s investing into coaches, mentors, system processes, because here's what I've learned. Find somebody that has what you want and then pay them to teach you how to get there. Because there's only two types of currency that we can use. The first one is time, using your time, knowledge, experience, or using money. Now, when I was dead broke, I had to go through courses to get enough money to be able to hire a coach, but you can figure that out. You can get together $10,000, $20,000 if you really put your mind to it. But then what we want to do is we want to use that money to leverage us, to find somebody to teach us how to go to the learning curve. Think about this. When I hired Bob Proctor for the first time back in 2020, I was sleeping in my car. I was stuttering between $2,000 to $5,000 a month. But the moment I hired Bob Proctor, he had studied the mindset for 60 years and he put it into a program. I ended up spending $30,000 on that program to work with him. And essentially what happened, I went from 0 to 100,000 a month in less than 60 days. But on paper, it looks crazy. But if you really if you really understand what I did, I took Bob Proctor's 60 years of experience, he put into a 6-month program. So it's almost as if each month of the program was a decade of his life. So I paid $100,000 over the course of the time I worked with him in order to speed up the process. That $100,000 made me millions of dollars on the back end. So finding a mentor that most importantly has what you want. Don't be like I don't really buy from people that have ads. I have to watch their YouTube channel. I got to see them over a period of time. But finding somebody that's credible, has the results, but also most importantly, that has a personality that you like. For example, I'm making a YouTube video right now inside the gym. There's people that do whiteboards. There's people that do more technical. Finding somebody that has a similar personality that you like, but also who is he outside of the content, right? So finding that mentor will go ahead and speed up the process. So let's get into point number two. Now, I definitely believe that point number two is underrated, especially by those of you in your 20s. And that point is investing into mindset, not just mechanics and strategics. So for 5 years, I struggled in business, but I had all the courses. And honestly, I used to pirate courses. Think about Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, all these different guys. I had all the courses, Iman Gadzhi. I had courses on sales and marketings and funnels. And when I got a little bit of money, I'd buy another course on how to build funnels and how to build websites. So I had been externalized, especially with ads, that said that my problem was outside of me. My problem in my business and in my life was to hire some funnel guy or some marketing guy or ads or some kind of strategic thing to grow my business. But then back on the mindset part, Bob Proctor said that 5% of your success is coming from the strategic. So what I found out is that my business and my life was my internal world pushed out. That my business was a reflection of what was going on inside of me. My outside world was a reflection of what's going on in my inside world. So the moment I learned these things from Bob Proctor, my income shot up with the same business, the same funnels, the same marketing, and everything like that. So I highly recommend, if you're in your 20s right now, really investing into your mindset, especially I'm a mindset coach. Think about how much this thing changed my life. I was funnels and marketing for 5 years, never making more than maybe $100,000 in 5 years. Then I'm like, okay, the funnels, the marketing, the strategy, this stuff is not working for me. Let me try this mindset side because everything, let's just try it out. And I shot up to 100,000 a month, shot up to $1 million. And I was like, what the heck is this? So think about this. I committed to the mindset part because of how much I struggled in the mechanics part. So when you hire a mindset coach or go in there and read the books or whatever it is that you want, I highly recommend doing that because what's happening is your subconscious mind. It's controlling what's coming in and out of your life. When I raised my self-image from a man that was struggling between $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and then I switched it to a guy earning $100,000 a month, I shot straight there. The funniest thing, because of the mindset part, without strategy and funnels and everything like that, I never had 20K months, 30K months, 50K months. I went straight from 0 to 100,000, 0 to 250,000 a month. That's how powerful this mindset part is. So if you're in your 20s right now, invest into your mindset and watch how your income and your business starts to become a reflection of the man you become. Don't ask how, ask who you need to become. Let's get into the next point.
And then the third scripture here is 1 John verses 16 and 17. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and pride of life, it is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. So the Lord is telling us that all these things in the world, specifically the desires of the flesh, the desires of the eyes, and the pride of life, are not from Him.
Yeah, I totally feel like especially when my relationship ended, I was so far away from God that it's like I didn't hear Him. I was trying to find answers in business. I was trying to find answers in the relationship, and I felt like it was just my prayers were not being answered until everything fell apart. He came to me, and now I hear them. But exactly what you said, it's like when I do fall to lustful temptations, I do feel that disconnect. I do feel that, and that's what I was feeling last night. So we just finished a Bible study with Pastor Mario right now, really integrating God into the life of the man so we can live a lot closer with the Lord. And by the way, for any of you that want to learn about the Quantum Man program, the link in the description below. So the next point number 3 is this: moving to a new city will change your life. I learned this first from Ty Lopez. I remember I'm from San Diego, California. When I was 21 years old, I first moved to Miami with $600, which you guys can kind of see this pattern here of my life of taking these massive risks. I moved to Miami with $600. I was staying in an Airbnb with like 20 people, but I knew that Miami was the type of city when I was early in my 20s that would expand my life. And sure enough, it was in that city that I was able to see what real wealth was. I started to see cars and buildings and people that were into entrepreneurship. Now, I'm from San Diego. I'm from the north of San Diego, about 45 minutes from downtown. So I wasn't used to that kind of things. But when I got to Miami, it really expanded me. And I would say that was the first big when I started to become a man. But the big shift is when I went to Dubai. When I went to Dubai at 28 or 27 or 28 years old, that is when everything just took it to the next level. I went to Dubai with $1,500, and that's when it completely changed my life of what wealth was, how the wealthy showed themselves. Because coming from Miami, men that make money, like they have the bust down watches and the Gucci and all these different things, right? So when I started making money and I went back to Dubai, you saw me with a lot of designer clothes and my desire to have an iced out watch. But then when I go to Dubai and I saw real wealth, people worth hundreds of millions of dollars, $20 million, people making $1 million a month, you didn't even see any types of brands on them, right? And I heard of brands that if you know type brands like Loro Piano and loafers and just Zara. And I thought that wealth was having a bunch of designer things, but really wealth was a different example. And then just my mindset about what real wealth is. People are making millions and millions of dollars. Now it's not just about the money, but it was about my expansion of self, my expansion of wealth, my expansion of just going to the next level. So one of the biggest things that you can do that can leverage externally to go to the next level is moving to a major city, Miami, New York, Los Angeles. Now that comes with another set of problems, which is getting too caught up in the material world or what the Joneses are doing. But if you can stay centered, man, it'll make a big difference for you. Alrighty guys, so we have a live event that we're planning on meeting up with my friend Brian Mancata right now. So we're gonna head out there right now, but check this out. Got a nice little Mercedes here for the Uber here in Medellin.
But internally themselves. And so when you tell them like, oh yeah, identity shifts, now I'm worth it. They manifest it. They embody it when they're on the call. They command it. And naturally the universe rewards them for it.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen, like my client testimony. I only post a big one. So if a guy goes from 10K to 15K or 10K to 20, I don't even really post that. Yeah. Like it's the girls that like, for example, Sarah, she was actually before Miss Lava Shack. She was making $300 a month. Yeah. And she made what, 28,000 the next month. I'm like, what the hell? She ended up making 300,000 that year. I made an update. And I'm like, what the hell? Like what? That's crazy. But what I found with this and this is why I talk about self-image and self-talk so much is sustaining that. Because what will happen to me as well is you shoot up, but if you don't sustain that self-image by beliefs, because then you're like, did I get lucky? Will this happen? How did this happen? You're doubting how you got at that, because that's a spiritual thing that happens when you go from, say 10K to 100K a month or whatever, some shit like this, some big jump. Then you start to doubt. You start to question, like, was this really me? Was this really happening? And those doubts and those limiting beliefs drop you back. So what happens, they'll shoot up and then they'll drop back, unless their self-image with depth of awareness of it, which is what I'm coaching. Hey, this is what's gonna happen. Now that you're making this money, catch these thoughts and throw them in the trash, and make sure you reframe that till you maintain that level and don't doubt yourself back to this level. Because remember, self-image dictates what comes in and out of your life. It's like a cybernetic system. It comes up like a thermostat. You gotta hold that, be first of all aware. Oh my god, money. First is excitement, and then the doubts come in. Can I do this again? Did I get lucky? Was this really manifestation? Was this really mindset, or did I get lucky because that guy messaged me? And I did that. All right, gentlemen, let's get into point number 4. I just wrapped up a meeting with my good friend Brian Mancata. He runs adspend.com, and he was helping me run ads with the YouTube channel. So the next point is this. Women can break you, especially if you aren't trained with your new money. So check this out. Women can make you or break you. So guys, take a 22-year-old man living in Miami and a 22-year-old woman. Which one has more access to resources? The women. You've seen it, the women on the yachts going to the backstages in the clubs and stuff like that. So you understand that analogy. So now take that man, he's now 27 years old and he's making $50,000 a month, $30,000 a month, $100,000 a month. And then he brings in a woman into his life. What I've seen, and I made so many different mistakes in my life, especially in my 20s, is that I would bring in women that were so good at manipulating and coercing and getting experience in life that I got finessed a lot of the time, especially in my younger 20s, not in my later 20s. So if you're coming into money and you're not trained on how the new modern woman moves around, like for example, what is she posting on social media, her stories, her need for attention and validation, those are clear red signs now in my 30s that I can look at a woman's Instagram and be like, oh hell no, like that's not even worth a date, that's not even worth my time. And I know that because of all those mistakes I made, because like I said, I came into money, and yes, I had a lot of fun and I've got access to a lot of women, but in that I got finessed a lot, I got taken advantage of a lot, especially just because these women were trained, okay? So that's something I learned. And this goes into the next point. And this one came with my last ex-girlfriend that I brought into my life that completely changed my life, changed my identity in a positive way now, but at the time it was the most difficult time in my life. And that's this. Point number 5. Don't go broke trying to play husband too early. Now, hear me out, gentlemen. Yes, we want to get married. Yes, we want to find a woman. Yes, we want to have our children. At least that's what I'm promoting here on my brand. We want to have a Christian family led by God and have a traditional family. I made the mistake, which goes back in point number 4. I selected the wrong woman, or at least a woman that didn't align with my values, because I was chasing looks and status rather than what the person's values and heart was. And so what happened was I tried to play husband because I was 29. I was trying to actually build my family, but I was building it on sand because I didn't choose a person that aligned with my values and aligned with what I was going on. And because of that, I played husband. I was in Dubai. I was paying her bills. I was covering, taking care of her mom. I was easily spending $15,000, $20,000 a month. I easily like that relationship with her and giving her the lifestyle, because if you're anything like me, you're a provider. If it's your woman and you vetted her, and I'm not talking about simping here, I'm talking about the woman that's going to be your wife. If you're not going to take care of your wife and financially and just be that man, then that's just a different type. I don't do 50-50 shit. When it's my girl, I take care of my girl, okay? That's just traditional. That's how my grandparents did it. That's just how it works, okay? It's different from simping and giving it to random chicks. This is the woman that you selected. So if you bring in the wrong woman into your ecosystem, into your kingdom, she will destroy it. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I tried so hard because I invested so much money. I had easily invested $500,000 into the relationship, on the lifestyle and making sure she was happy and covering her bills like that, because I didn't select the right woman from point number 4. And so when she ended up leaving and going back to Dubai and finding another guy or whatever that she's doing over there now to get money, because she didn't have no money when she was with me, and God knows what she's doing for money now. I don't judge. That shit destroyed me because I had invested so much. So I lost so much of myself, which now I'm even better now because of this introspection that I'm giving you now. I lost myself because I was trying to play husband too early instead of building myself stronger, not only just in my finances, because I have strong finances, but building my resolve and understanding of what a God-centered woman was, what a quality woman was. And if you don't do this correctly, she'll take you for everything that you want, everything that you have, and you might go broke and you might fucking like have to rebuild your life again. So selecting the right woman in your 20s is important. How do you do that? Experience, following guys like Kevin Samuels. You know, find some high quality guys that are teaching high value stuff from people that have money. We're not talking like, if you have money or you want to have some money, right? It's different from a guy that is making $70,000 a year and trying to find a woman than a guy making $70,000 a month and lives in Dubai. It's a completely thing. It's a completely different thing. I'm telling you that right now, like when you're making money. So like when I'm looking at a girl here in Dubai, or sorry, in Medellin, and I look at her Instagram and she has her little bags, her little Chanel bag and shit like that. And I look at that now and she's overexposed in bikini. I know for a fact now in my 30s, if I was to take that woman to Dubai and make that my girl, that would be amplified 25,000x. And now she's looking at the next guy and the next Ferrari because I'm not looking for the values of the woman. So being able to understand, looking at a woman, not just for face alone, but looking at her from her values and stuff. And then whatever woman you buy into your kingdom will make or break it. So make sure you do the research and have the right steps. So without further ado, let's get into our next point. Good morning, family. We just got started with the next day here, and I just finished up with my push-ups. I've been doing my push-ups every single morning for the last 3 months, and it's been completely game changer for my self-talk, my self-discipline. I highly recommend checking it out. So let's get into our next point. Number 6, think bigger than you are now. So it's early morning, so I'm gonna go ahead and read this off. I have it written for you. Upgrading your identity. Check this out. There's a difference between the version of you that's making $20,000 a month, say that's your goal right now to hit your first $20,000 a month, and the version of you that's hitting your $100,000 a month level. And I'm not talking about your business, the business model, how many followers you have. I'm talking about your identity, who you are at an internal level. Because there's a big difference between a $20,000 a month identity and a $100,000 a month identity. The standards, the thinking, the decisions at those levels are completely different. And I lived this experience. When I met Bob Proctor, I was struggling making about $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month driving for Uber. But in 5 years prior to Bob Proctor, I was trying different businesses, always failing, inconsistent, 2,000 here, 5,000 here. I think the most I made was like 7,000 one time, and I made 13,000 at a launch of a program. So like my income was all over the place. And so if you would have asked me back in those early days, DeAndre, what is your income goal? I would say something like 10,000 a month, 30,000 a month. The idea of even going for 100,000 a month was crazy. I didn't even know anybody making that kind of money. So Bob's like, you got to go for something big. Go for something what we call a C-type goal, a big fantasy, something that causes you to change your identity. And that's what I did. And so I had to think bigger, act bigger, perform bigger to get bigger results. So think about this. Let's just say the actions that I would have to take to achieve a $100,000 a month goal would be completely different for a $10,000 a month goal. So let's go back to that time when I started with Bob. I'm making it $0 in income and I'm doing high ticket sales. If I wanted to get, say, 10,000 a month, that's 2 clients, right? So my activities would be something like sending out DMs, posting on Instagram. But if I wanted to make 100,000 a month, that'd be something like 20 or 30 clients. So sending out DMs and posting on my Instagram wouldn't have worked. So because I thought at a higher frequency, I had to reinvent myself. I had to become a bigger version of myself. I had to change my identity. And that identity shift of thinking at a person that was already at the goal caused me to do actions that were much bigger, which is why I was able to hit my 100,000 a month within 60 days, then 250,000 a month, and so on and so forth. And that's because of that identity. So brother, if there's one thing I can tell you right now, and I was just talking to a client about this a couple of days ago, and he's like, I want to go for 20,000 a month. And I'm like, you're thinking too small, go straight for the 100,000 a month. If you go for something bigger, it's not about taking more action. It's about thinking at a higher level and embodying a new identity. When you think like that person, feel like that person, then you start to act as if you had it now. Watch how you collapse time and space and you're able to scale your companies very quickly. And I know this for a fact because I was able to do it not just once, but twice, taking 2 companies to 100,000 a month in less than 60 days. So guys, it's early morning right now, so I'm gonna go hit the gym and get the day started. I'll see you guys on the next session. Gentlemen, point number 7 is this: stop trying to look rich and actually build wealth. And I'm telling this from personal experience. My first $1 million that I made back in between 2020 to 2024, I was back in Miami. And guys, remember that jump. So when money started coming in, I started being very flashy. Jewelry, designer clothes, trips, dating, dinners, all that kind of stuff. And all that showed me, yes, it was a fun lifestyle, but after 2 years, I ended up losing everything. So in that first $1 million that I made, I didn't save much of it. I was living 30,000 a month, 40,000 a month on income expenses, the best apartment, my GTR, my S63 AMG. And when I lost my income, because I thought that money was going to come forever, what ended up happening was that when that money stopped, my entire life stopped. And that was actually when I lost my first $1 million. So in that first gap, I learned that you have to actually save money. Then we go to Dubai, and then you saw what happened in Dubai. I make another $1 million business. And so what I learned the difference there is it's not about just cash flow. You actually have to have both active income and passive income. Because gentlemen, right now, you're in your 20s, assuming you're watching this, maybe I'm in your 30s right now. But when you're 50 years old, that 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month, or whatever income you're at right now, that might not come forever. And there's ebbs and flows in business. It's called the law of rhythm. There's ups and there's down. So what the biggest mistakes that I was making is that I was trying to look flashy, buying the watch, the jewelry, all these different things to try to look rich instead of actually being rich. And the fun thing about also being in Dubai is that it actually showed me what real wealth was. Because remember the example of Miami, I thought, like a bust down watch and all that. But when you get out to Dubai, there's actually silent wealth, quiet wealth. So in your 20s, don't go broke trying to look rich. Actually build wealth, and it'll make a big difference, because it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. Let's get into the next point and let's keep hitting arm day. Let's go. Gentlemen, now this is something that I learned just recently over the last 90 days, and that is this. Point number, I believe it is 8. As you become more centered with yourself and centered with God, you're more okay being alone. Now, throughout my 20s, literally up until I was 30 years old, I was always seeking social clubs, right? Whether it was hanging out with friends, hanging out with girls, all these kind of things. As I look back in reflection, I almost never wanted to be by myself. And as you get into your 30s, what starts to happen is, first of all, especially if you went through an identity crisis like I went through and I got through, is that not only do you invite God into your life, you're okay with being by yourself. And sometimes you actually prefer it. What I've noticed over the last 2 or 3 months since I've been here in Colombia is I actually prefer being by myself. Even if I go out to social circles, it's like I can only handle people for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and then I gotta go back home, which is a complete different thing. Because in your solitude is where you're able to hear your thoughts. It's where you're able to reflect and introspect, and actually where you're making big progress. You see, there's a lot of noise. Open up Instagram, noise. Open up the news, noise. Hanging out with friends and what they're going on and what they're doing, noise. But as you become more centered with yourself as a man, you start to listen less to the noise and more about what God has inside. One thing I learned throughout my 20s is that prayer is us speaking to God, but intuition is God speaking to us. And so where you're going to hear your intuition, especially if you're learning how to tap into it for the first time. Now, I've been pretty good with my intuition over my 20s, but if you're just learning how to get your intuitive moves, those are the moves that are going to take you to 100,000 a month. I swear, it was really my intuitive moves that helped me make millions of dollars in my 20s. And those moves I learned by being in solitude, when you're just cool being by yourself. Now, I don't expect you guys in your 20s to just start hanging out by yourself. Now, some of you might, but be okay with having a smaller circle, because you start putting up with less of people's bullshit, and you start to align with people that have the same values as you, not because of their followers, not because of what the girl looks like, but because you have genuine connection with people who have the same similar values. And how do you know what your values are? Being in solitude, understanding what you stand for, what you don't stand for, setting up your boundaries. And if you don't have boundaries, people will come in and they'll fuck with your shit. I'm telling you straight up, setting up your boundaries, understanding what your values are, understanding how God wants you to live, being in solitude, you'll realize it's a lot better. And if you notice, the most successful men, there was a period where they went through solitude. It could be months, it could be a year. But in that period, that's where you're building the iron behind the sheet. Building in silence, and then you show up on social media, you show up in your business, and then people say you were an overnight success, but only you truly knew what you were doing behind the scenes. Let's go. So as I'm here having a cigar with my boy Eric right now, I was thinking about the next point, and this point right now is one of the biggest things, especially as you get into your 30s, and it is this: worship God and not the things that God created. I've seen it time and time again. Older men that they have used an outside thing as their identity, such as money, business, a woman, or a relationship, or anything like this. I'll give you an example. For those of you that are coming up in your 20s right now, you a lot of the time worship money. What does that look like? When you're making money, you feel good. When your money is not good, the business is not good, you feel bad. That's an example of letting the outside world affect you. So that's a small level example that I went through my first 20, 21 to 22, 23. But I made that big mistake in my last relationship. I made my relationship with my ex-girlfriend my God. Meaning, depending on how she was feeling, depending on what was going on there, it affected my day. So if she was feeling good that day, then we had a great day. If she was going to start bitching and going crazy and something like that, then I had a bad day. And what happened, it got to the point where I knew I had to end that relationship, but I was so attached because of what I invested into it that it controlled my life. And so what ended up happening is that when she left, my identity left. And that's the biggest point of this key. When you let money, a relationship, or a woman, or some other thing become your God, it becomes your identity. And the moment it goes away, you lose yourself. I mean, I'm on the other side of that, learning from that, and that's why I'm building the new version of myself. But you don't want to do that, because when you lose your identity, oh my God, let me tell you, that feeling goes with you everywhere. It goes to the gym with you, it goes to the shower, it goes to the leisure, it goes to sleep with you. When you crack your identity because you let something outside of you become your God and it goes away, you lose yourself. The one thing that will never go away, that will always be here from the beginning of time, is the Lord. Make him your God, worship him, and have him, and that's what I'm doing, have him become your vessel, or you become the vessel of the Lord, and he'll make it happen. Make God your foundation. I'm gonna enjoy this cigar. I'll see you guys in the next point. As we come into point number 10, it's one of the most important ones that will determine if you stay a brokey or you go earn your first $1 million, $2, $3 million in your 20s, and it is this. We're at this paddle event right now. Cool little thing. Check this out. Only listen to people that have what you want. Guys, one of the biggest reasons I have success right now, or at least some level of success, is because I didn't listen to people like my grandparents and my friends. My grandparents told me to be successful, I got to go to college and do all these different things. But when I would look at their life, no, I love them, they weren't living the life that I wanted. And this goes for your business partners, this goes for the people that you hire. Listen to people that have what you want. For example, let's just say you want to grow a YouTube channel, and you're listening to people, your friends, your business partners who do not have a YouTube channel. Why would you listen to them? Listen to somebody who has a YouTube channel and or making money on that YouTube channel. Does that make sense? So if you listen to that final step, you're gonna have an amazing, amazing time in your 20s. Go and earn your first $1 million, $2 million, live in Dubai, live in Miami, live in the country that you wanna live in. You can absolutely do it. I was just a regular guy that came from San Diego, California, slept on couches, went broke so many different times. And if I can do it, you can absolutely do it as well, and travel and live in the places that you wanna live in. So without further ado, guys, welcome to this, or thank you for tuning into this video. By the way, if you like these kind of videos, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll keep these kind of like blog styles. If not, I'll just keep teaching on the whiteboard. But other than that, guys, it's your man, Mr. Law of Attraction. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.